Chicago is known as the city that never sleeps. On most nights, its streets hum with late trains, glowing streetlights, and the distant sound of traffic echoing between tall buildings. But on one cold night, that rhythm was violently interrupted. In just a matter of minutes, a single act of violence turned an ordinary evening into a citywide mystery, a nighttime murder case that left residents shaken and investigators racing against time. Before we dive into the full story, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. These stories matter, and your support helps keep real investigative storytelling alive. What happened that night wasn't just another crime statistic. It became a case defined by dark streets, unclear motives, and disturbing silence, a crime that still raises questions today. Chicago after dark, the hours when everything changed. Nighttime in Chicago has a different energy. As businesses close and crowds thin out, the city becomes quieter but also more vulnerable. According to longtime residents, the hours between midnight and dawn often feel suspended in time. That's exactly when this case unfolded. Sometime after dark, in a neighborhood that rarely made headlines, something went terribly wrong. Emergency calls came in reporting gunshots, followed by silence. By the time authorities arrived, the scene told a grim story, one that would quickly ripple through the community. The victim had been found outdoors, under low lighting, with very few witnesses. That lack of visibility would become one of the most critical challenges of the case. The crime scene, what police found. When investigators secured the area, they were met with a troubling reality. There were no clear surveillance angles, no immediate suspects, and conflicting witness accounts. Shell casings were recovered, but they offered more questions than answers. Police noted signs that the crime happened quickly, no evidence of a prolonged struggle, no clear trail, and no obvious motive visible at the scene. This suggested the act was either highly targeted or terrifyingly random. In major cities like Chicago, timing is everything. The longer a case remains unsolved in its early hours, the colder the trail becomes. And from the start, this case showed signs of becoming exceptionally difficult. Who was the victim and why that mattered? Understanding the victim is always a key part of any investigation. Friends and family described them as ordinary, hardworking, and not involved in criminal activity, a detail that only deepened the mystery. There were no known threats, no public disputes, and no immediate explanation for why this person was targeted. That lack of motive shifted the investigation into a more disturbing direction. If this could happen to someone with no obvious risk factors, could it happen to anyone? That question echoed across the neighborhood in the days that followed. The investigation, following shadows in the dark. Detectives worked around the clock, reviewing hours of grainy footage from nearby cameras and re-interviewing residents who had been awake that night. But nighttime crimes often leave behind fractured memories. People hear sounds, see shapes, but nothing concrete enough to stand in court. Leads came in slowly. Some were promising, others misleading. In high-profile cases like this, investigators must separate fear-driven rumors from verifiable facts, a task easier said than done. Despite Chicago's vast law enforcement resources, the case revealed how darkness and timing can still overpower modern technology. Community fear, a neighborhood on edge. As news spread, the mood in the area shifted. Residents began locking doors earlier, avoiding nighttime walks, and watching unfamiliar faces more closely. Candlelight vigils were held, not just to honor the victim, but to reclaim a sense of safety. This wasn't just about one life lost. It was about trust. Trust in safety, trust in systems, and trust that answers would come. For many, the silence surrounding the case felt louder than the gunshots themselves. Social media amplified the fear, with theories spreading faster than verified updates. Some speculated about gang involvement, others about mistaken identity, but officials urged the public to remain patient and cautious. Media coverage facts via speculation. As national outlets picked up the story, the narrative began to shift. Headlines focused on the mystery, the lack of arrests, and the broader issue of violent crime after dark. While attention helped keep pressure on authorities, it also risked distorting the truth. In cases like this, speculation can be dangerous. False assumptions can derail investigations and harm innocent people. That's why officials remained tight-lipped, releasing only confirmed information. The phrase ongoing investigation became a constant refrain, frustrating for the public but necessary for justice. Unanswered questions. What still doesn't add up? Even as weeks passed, key questions remained unanswered. Why that location? Why that time? And most importantly, why that person? The absence of clear motive made it difficult to build a timeline. Without knowing the why, investigators were forced to focus solely on the how, which limited progress. This uncertainty is what makes the case so haunting. Not knowing allows fear to fill the gaps, a case that reflects a bigger problem. Beyond the specifics, this nighttime murder case exposed larger issues facing urban centers like Chicago. Lighting infrastructure, camera coverage, and late-night policing strategies all came under scrutiny. Experts argued that solving crimes after dark requires not just more officers, but smarter urban design and stronger community cooperation. This case became a symbol, not just of violence, but of the challenges modern cities face in preventing it. Where the case stands today. At the time of this video, the case remains open, with investigators continuing to follow new leads. Authorities have emphasized that even years later, tips can still break a case wide open. For families and communities, closure isn't just about arrests, it's about truth. And until that truth comes to light, the story remains unfinished. Why this story still matters. True crime isn't about sensationalism. It's about understanding how and why things happen, so they don't happen again. This case matters because it reminds us how quickly normal life can turn into tragedy, and how silence can be just as powerful as violence. Remembering the victim means refusing to forget the unanswered questions. If stories like this matter to you, stories that go beyond headlines and into the human impact, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it. Awareness keeps these cases alive, and sometimes it's awareness that leads to answers. Chicago will continue to move, to glow at night, and to live on. But for those who remember that night, the question remains, what really happened? And until that question is fully answered, this story isn't over.